Welcome everybody to today's webinar, The Carbon Ecosystem. First, I have some general information for you. We will record the session and send it after the call via email, as well as the slides we're going to show later on to you. Regarding the questions, we will have time for questions afterwards, but you can write them in the chat during our presentation and we'll answer them in the end. Let's have a look on the agenda. I will briefly introduce our speaker today before we learn more about the genesis of the carbon ecosystem and the problem they want to solve. In the next agenda point, we will dive deeper in the solution and what it is all about. Of course, we will introduce our project partner and next steps before we come to your questions. So don't forget to put them on the chat. I'm Verena Colonna from the ESTAINIUM Association, and I'm very, very happy and excited to talk about the carbon ecosystem with our incredible speakers. First of all, we have Dr. Gunther Beitinger, founder from Seagreen and Siemens AG, and first board member from the ESTAINIUM Association. Then we have Marta Isabel Ruiz Corso, but some of them may know her as Patty. She's the General Director and founder of Sierra Gorda Ecological Group. And we have Ricardo Torres. He's the Undersecretary of the Environment for the Executive Power of the State Querétaro. Thank you all for joining us today. So let's start with the first question. Ricardo, how did the idea of building a carbon ecosystem came up? So how did you meet? What made you work together? Let us know.
Thank you, Verena. Thank you for Patty and also for Gunther to stay here with me in this grateful webinar. But going to the question, well, the carbon ecosystem wasn't a collective idea, probably as a result of a coincidence, probably because we were working in different sites with many of the other stakeholders that are part of this alliance. And we started especially first working for many years with Grupo Ecológico here in Querétaro in Mexico, trying to pay environmental services for the people, the landowners in Sierra Gorda. So we were developing a special and a local protocol that were going up to 8 years, more or less, working on them, looking for some money to conservation, and doing a special alliance between government and communities. That was the beginning. After that, with this administration, Governor Mauricio Curi administration, we started with a carbon tax here in Querétaro, and we decided to make it a compensable tax in which the people could, the companies could pay by compensating their emissions to the landowners with Grupo in Querétaro. And in the very beginning, we started with the companies, giving some examples, talking with them, looking for alliances with all the facilities and companies installed in Querétaro who are part of this carbon tax. In this way, we started in a special manner with Eurotranchatura, and that is part of Eurogroup. And the CEO of Eurotranchatura presented me Gunther and asked me to meet Gunther in New York in 2023 in the New York Climate Week. So by this time, we had a meeting in New York, and we decided Gunther showed me the software Seagreen and the alliance with ESTAINIUM. And we decided to sign an MOU in order to connect the efforts from Seagreen with the government state of Querétaro in Dubai, and the governor were present at this moment in the signing of the MOU in which we wanted to go up and connect the efforts and offer to the companies a tool, a very important tool in which they can manage their information and then send it up to us in order to have a strong accountability of the emissions and then continue with the process. On the other hand, I think, Patty, we're working with OpenForests in the development of a software that can connect the information from the forest to the government also. And by a coincidence, some of them connected in Germany and then offer us a proposal to connect and develop an entire carbon ecosystem in which we can connect government, companies, landowners, and Grupo in a neutral climate tool in which we can share information and also can reduce efforts for the companies and have more transparency and all that kind of things. So that's the way in which we were working at the beginning. Querétaro is now going up with our carbon tax exercise, and we need this kind of efforts to decarbonize our economy. We decided to start this effort to finance our decarbonization pathways in Querétaro, and that's great. That's the way in which we get connected at the beginning, and we are now working in this special ecosystem that let's see what's going up with them. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ricardo. Very interesting. What a journey. Or Gunther, how was it for you?
I mean, Ricardo outlined it perfectly already. Let me add some topics. I mean, this ecosystem aims to integrate the corporate emissions tracking with local environmental project, and beautifully already explained by Ricardo. And in my different roles, first of all, in my role as the ESTAINIUM from the ESTAINIUM Association, the first president. So here we have the vision, of course, to support companies to decarbonize their supply chain. And our vision goes that we would like to start really from where the emissions are generated, but also to the moment when the emissions are taking out from the atmosphere for good. And I saw here in our talk in New York and later on a unique chance that this vision will come true, and that we all together then will work on this together. Though this, of course, requires several parties, and it is vice versa that we are say that it is a co-development with different companies, but I think we will come to this also later. And the next step is, the next point is, we from Siemens have a software, and Ricardo said it's SeaGreen. SeaGreen allows companies to aggregate emissions along the supply chain and exchange the information in a trustworthy and trustful way. This means without disclose their confidential information. And that's a very important step, that you get information and collect information along the supply chain. And so without really going into a complicated contract and non-disclosure agreements. This is the solution with SeaGreen. But there is also other challenges. When you go along the supply chain and collect data along the supply chain with different companies involved, you need to make sure that everyone are calculating and aggregating his own emissions accordingly to a standard, so an industrial standard. And so otherwise you cannot aggregate this information. And here we can provide the tool for it. And this, in combination with the circular economy, which was started also in Querétaro, was then in our talk with Ricardo. We can provide the tool for the industries which are located so that they are collecting along the supply chain in a trustworthy and comparable way and according to an industrial standard. And then, of course, with the government involved, we can provide a seamless integration into the governmental system and also, of course, into the possibility to purchase and to get carbon credits. And I think that is what is all about. It's a seamless integration of a whole ecosystem, which allows company, government, and of course, national initiatives like the one from Patty to profit and to gain the advantage out of this holistic system.
I guess we will come in detail to that on the next question. But thank you very much for explaining also your challenges so far from a corporate perspective. But Patty, I would like to know what problems are from NGO perspective.
I came from Sierra Gorda. I am the land. I am on the field. I have my feet on the ground for all this cloud. Okay. We are ready to connect with local landowners because we are an NGO with 37 years working on the area with a long experience trying to get answers for the local communities. They own the land. So we began with carbon credits 25 years ago. After a long experience of learning, we came, and now with Querétaro government, we are operating a local protocol that solves all the first difficulties we had to face, Verena, among many others.
I can understand it, of course. Thank you, Patty, for giving us your insights here. But Gunther, you already started. Would you be so nice and explain us what is the carbon ecosystem all about and what are the key benefits the people are interested in?
Sure. Like I said, it is it is an initiative which integrates the corporate emissions tracking with local environmental project, and of course, it has been co-developed and it will be co-developed with partners, and including the Querétaro state government, Grupo Ecológico. Patty, thank you for pointing this out. OpenForests and Callirius, and what we have seen so far, it will be, as you stated here, the first full integration of a carbon tracking technology with local nature-based offsetting initiatives. But let us explain it a little bit more in detail. So first of all, a company needs to calculate their emissions. And there are several challenges. So first of all, they need to have access to their information. So they need to get the information from meters when it comes to their own emissions. So what we call from scope 1 and scope 2. Scope 1 is which emissions they are generating due to their operations. And scope 2 is which emissions they are getting due to the energy they are purchasing. But also there are scope 3, like I said, in the supply chain. So you are buying material, modules, and they have in their backpack also emissions. So you need to track and you need to collect all these emissions along the supply chain, and you have to make this in a comparable and complete and a verifiable way. So this is the first challenge a company has. So then when they have calculated and aggregated all their emissions, then in the case of in Querétaro, they are allowed to compensate a portion, 20% of their scope 1 emissions. So they need then to select the compensation options for their so-called non-avoidable emissions, because one of our aims is to reduce or to avoid emissions for good. But due to operations, there are always emissions which you cannot avoid. So then here, the government has put out a selection which a company could choose from to compensate a portion of their non-avoidable emissions. Then, right through this tool to the software, then they are buying the carbon offsets. Here we are working together, for example, with Callirius, which are developing with us together this system. Then they report the emissions and compensations. It's done via the platform, and then and draw it into the governmental system so that the government can define the carbon tax and the compensation certificate. That's in a simple way. That's what we are going to build. So you have a seamless system, a data throughput, a flow, but also a complete track record. You can now track the emissions from the point when they were generated and till at least portion till to the form and the way where they were compensated and then taken out of the atmosphere for good. And that's the unique solution what we are building here. Of course, there are some details, but I think we, from time-wise, we would not go into the details of a system, but here we have a SaaS, software as a solution behind of it. You can subscribe on Seagreen, and then, of course, you need to put in another piece of software, install it into your own environment, and then you are ready to go, as we already have then the connection built to the offset market with Callirius, and of course to the government. Yeah, that's in general that what we are building.
Wow, interesting. It's very unique, a new solution. Congratulations. Ricardo, then from a governmental perspective, what are your key benefits here in this end-to-end solution? Let us know.
Thank you, Verena. Well, as I say a little bit before in my last opportunity to speak, we were developing this carbon tax since the beginning. Querétaro is a very industrialized state in Mexico, very near to Mexico City. And we have a capital city in the surroundings areas of the capital city, and also some other areas in San Juan del Rio, for instance, in another municipality here in Querétaro, that were industrialized during the last 30 years. A very big process of this were going on in Querétaro. And for instance, Querétaro in our general GDP, the industry represents about 30% of the general GDP. And many sectors are installed in Querétaro. For instance, the most important is automotive industry, also aircraft industry, food industry, paper industry. Many companies have been installed in Querétaro since 1980, more or less. But we have another face of Querétaro, and that's Sierra Gorda, our grateful natural protected area, biosphere reserve, where the people are living in touch with nature, and the well-being and the economic growth are not being seated in that area in the same way as the capital city and their surroundings. But they have necessities, and also we need money. We identify that we need money to conserve this treasure for Querétaro. Because if conservation without money is conversation only. So the government started to implementation with for a very big program to environmental payments, service payments for the local owners in Sierra Gorda for many years. But the money were coming from the government, the local government, the subnational state government, and also from the federal government. But it wasn't enough, because we need more money to conserve in a good manner, because the owners have necessities and also have another options to survive. And that other options not necessarily are in agreement with nature. So we need to input a strategy to convert the landowners in a forest protectors, their forest protectors and their forest land protectors. So we have developed our decarbonization pathways over the last 4 years, and we identified that the forest protection in Querétaro were an strategic activity that we need to input and reinforce from the government. And then the idea of a carbon tax for that industrialized sector of Querétaro were going up in 2021, and we started with a compensation system. Not necessarily carbon credits, also a compensation system in which we can connect the industry, because as I try to explain, Querétaro is an special opportunity. We have a special opportunity because we have industry and we have a great treasure in Sierra Gorda. So we need to connect it. And because they were parts of this wonderful exercise in their own side. Patty were working for 37 years in Sierra Gorda on her side. And the companies were in all the industrial process of Querétaro were growing up on the other side and making Querétaro a very important strategy, a very important area in Mexico, very dynamic industrialization process in Querétaro that is an example here in Mexico of how can we develop a state or a country in terms of economic growth. But we need to connect it. So we decided to establish a process with a local protocol in which we can have a special accountability of the carbon emissions that were captured by Sierra Gorda. And also we started more or less 15 years ago to train our companies how to calculate and estimate their own emissions and how to report to the government from 15 years. So we were in a process with the industry, and by now we have more or less 300 facilities in Querétaro that are part of the carbon tax. 300, but more or less 15 facilities represents 80 or 90% of the total carbon emissions coming from industry. Yeah, and these 15 companies are very interested to compensate their emissions because they want to reduce the impact of the tax, because we have a $37 carbon tax installed in Querétaro. So if they can reduce the impact, the economic impact for the companies if they compensate emissions, because the price of the carbon credits in the voluntary market are around $20, sometimes $16. So in this way, we wanted to connect, and we started with that. And we started visiting many industries and explaining the process and showing the marvelous treasure that we have in Sierra Gorda, and convincing them that it was a great opportunity for them if they pay compensation and conversation in Querétaro. But it wasn't the only one, the only strategy. We want to impulse and develop a carbon hub reductions sector in Querétaro, also with methane reductions and waste management and many other kinds of projects that can be developed in the state. So we wanted to connect it, and we need a system that can simplify this, because we started in 2022 in the first time doing manually. Also Patty have a particular goals to achieve in the area, connecting the people and calculating and reporting and offer transparency and offer traceability about the process. And the carbon ecosystem can give us this transparency, this simplified process, and help us to decarbonize our economy. But the most important for me and probably for the government is to connect these two sides of the equation, where the companies can see the opportunity to give some help to the nature and the people from the lands receiving money by first time in their lives by protecting their territory.
Wow.
That's the way we see it.
Thank you so much for giving us these insights and the long journey you already started so long ago. And finally, now we all come together, I guess. And when talking about we are all coming together, I guess there's one missing part. Patty, I want to know, what are your key benefits here? I guess Ricardo explained it, part of it already, but I want to hear your opinion here.
Ricardo did it just fine, but I'm going to complete the explanation. When we began as a field manager of conservation, our group looking for answers for nature-based solutions, and we had to face the global protocols with all the impossible and expensive and etc. requirements that makes them so unfair, so expensive, so far from the local communities. So we began looking for different solutions, how to tropicalize Kyoto in the local. Then we developed a NAMA, a nationally appropriated mitigation action register in UNFCCC, and we have been gone through that tunnel to get and to develop a new protocol and to be selected by Environment United Nations to develop the 5 guides, Initiative for Climate Action Transparency Guides, where are the align our local protocol that was validated from outside. And we have been working wonderfully with the government of Querétaro since several different governors. So in Querétaro, it has been incubated a decarbonization process. It is getting on the ADN. Oh my God,
DNA.
on the DNA of Querétaro State. We have a wonderful relation surrounded by many activities that Grupo Ecológico develops in a most eco-diverse area in Mexico. For us, it is real that it's a treasure for our country. It's the last well-preserved reserve in Mexico, and it has inside 638 communities. Then we are a real experience of nature-based solutions, dealing with 100,000 inhabitants, and have developed a network that surrounds biocarbon, carbono biodiverso. When you exclude the cattle out of the forest, the miracle comes. And you may see on the forest, and all the underground grows with such a variety, and that's natural regeneration. And this local protocol allows, it's a protocol that was made to become green, to ground on field. So you may see the difference among one plot with cows and the other one where we're retired for 5 years, the livestock. So we have been measuring carbon since early 90s. And what we are doing now with Querétaro, it is a very pioneer action in the planet. We are going beyond the markets. We are giving economic value to the natural capital. And that's the only way that we may preserve all this treasure. If not, the fires came provoke everywhere and it becomes the hell. And we lose those ecosystems that are giving all the services. My God, without forest, without vegetation, there is no rain. My state just went through a very deep drought. Wow, everything was dying. My God, day zero, just there. So what we are doing, it's a replicable model of subnational action. It is a public politic. It is not a carbon credit. It is a carbon certificate, a reduction footprint certificate that is more transparent and real than anything that you may find on the market. Yeah, it is built from bottom up. And there we are with this wonderful social and for the planet project. Thank you.
Wow, Patty, thank you so much. Very, very, very amazing. Thank you for the explanation. Very impressive. On to the next question. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm sorry. You talked about all are doing it together. So, Gunther, perhaps you can give us an insight who's already party of the ecosystem.
Sure. First of all, so well spoken, Patty, and I love the expression bottom up, because the bottom up is exactly what is required. Otherwise, there will be no change. So there will not happen anything. And that is what makes this approach so real, because it happens in the forests of the Sierra Gorda, and you have done it already for 37 years. It's so well said, bottom up project. I love this expression. It's because this is something which makes the whole approach so real. And of course, it is about reducing emissions. It's about really making an impact on the bottom, on the field, in the field. And of course, when you're building up something like this, you need partners. It's an ecosystem, and it's a collaborative effort, and that includes different parties. And first of all, there is the commitment of the government, which I just wanted to point out. No? Ricardo, you are here, so it's very important that you give the commitment, and of course that you are also giving the framework and the rules which make it safe and plannable, and that's very important for the industry, of course, so that it can be planned, and that is secure and safe. And then, of course, there are companies like Siemens. We are providing the infrastructure, the Siemens. The technology infrastructure, the software with SeaGreen and with SeaGreen Connect, which allows accurate emissions monitoring, which is important. And then we have the ESTAINIUM Association, who brought everyone together, who are integrating and bringing this initiative into, let's say, into a movement. And then Callirius with its marketplace for carbon certificates. Thank you for pointing this out, not credits, carbon certificates. So, and with this combination also, we are setting new sustainable standards. That's also something. And last but not least, with Grupo Ecológico and OpenForests for the project development and carbon registry, with you, Patty, with all the dedication you're giving, and with OpenForests for the architect and the digital registry. So these are the single parties which are required to bring this ecosystem alive.
Okay, I got it. Thanks, Gunther. So I guess let's summarize. We had the problems you're facing. We heard about the solution and the key benefits. We know who's involved in it and the partners. What's missing? I guess the next steps, Ricardo. Could you let us know what are the next steps?
Yeah, thank you. Well, with the carbon ecosystem, we have a small agenda during the rest of the year. We want to publish a white paper in some time in August, in which we explain in a very clearly manner the way in which we operate and we connect all the systems coming from SeaGreen, coming from OpenForests and Grupo, and of course the government, and where the industries and the companies connect the information with us. And we're going to do it during August. And also we have a field trip in Querétaro, in Sierra Gorda, also in August, in previous to the Mexico Carbon Forum, who is going to be in León, Guanajuato, in Mexico, at the middle of the month, in the 14th and 15th. And also we want to present it in the New York Climate Week, in an officially launch, in which we can, of course, stay also in North America. Querétaro is now North America co-chair for Climate Group and under two coalition as of National Coalition of Governments. So we want to share this carbon ecosystem with our partners in North America, Canada, United States, and also the participants from Latin America and all the world can be included. I think it's a perfect ecosystem and opportunity for Africa, for instance, Asia, and all the efforts that they are trying to develop in their territories. And probably we want to replicate the concept in other parts of the world, or increase the capabilities of this in Querétaro, in which we can connect many projects worldwide, and also with the perspective to give priority to the local projects in Querétaro, and offer a compensation system who is transparent, who is professional, who is well developed by different stakeholders in the carbon markets, and also in the compensation registries, and giving the opportunity for others to know about our effort. Querétaro is now trying to offer an exceptional concept based in a tax, based in a local protocol, based in the company necessities. So I think that's the next step for this year, and let's see what's on the next year.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. Quite a challenge, I would say. So your calendar is full. Good. Looking to the time, I would suggest we are coming to the questions. We have 10 minutes for a question at least. So, and I will have a look. So if you look in the chat, so many people are sending congratulations to all of you and are very impressed and want to. So there's one question I can read. How can Pula Foundation from Uganda benefit on this good project? From Masarika Yona, for example.
Maybe I can take this question. I mean, for us, the next step is that we are proving that the MVP, what the ecosystem will work. So at the moment we are in the developing phase, and luckily we also have key customers. Ricardo already has mentioned one, which are in the industrial zone of Querétaro are operating, like Eurotransformadora, but also Siemens and others. And we need to bring the proof that it works and that it is accepted also by the industry. But we are, of course, make it replicable. So we would like, of course, to copy and to bring this system to other governments, because decarbonization of our industrial supply chain is one of the tasks of our decade. We need to support and to install solutions. How can we bring down the global emissions? So we of course we have in our agenda to have this replicable and to implement it in other environments, in other governments or states. So please keep watching us and wait till we are coming to the New York Climate Week, when we are going to present, or you reach out to us and see what is the installed base already, and then we look at it. But of course, our idea is to have a replicable solution here, all together how we are here.
Thank you very much. So on to the next question from Laura Maria Huerfano Torres. I hope that's right. How is the project enhancing the climate transparency of Querétaro, and has this project been replicated into other places so we know it's not in the region?
I can take this. First, go, Patty, please go.
It has been our first commitment, transparency. So all these ecosystems guarantee the transparency. We have developed a very sophisticated software and control of customers and parcels and beneficiaries. You couldn't believe it, and it would be completely traceable. And for all the customers, they may get almost in touch with every parcel and every carbon. They have a ton of carbon they have captured. So thanks to OpenForests that has worked with the different teams of SEDESU and us to develop this very complete and holistic software to keep the transparency as the first thing in our ecosystem. Ricardo, sorry.
Thank you, Patty. Yeah, in terms of the question about it could be replicated in other places in the region, I think yes. In Querétaro, there are other states that with similar conditions like Querétaro that by now are replicating the initiative of a carbon tax with a compensation system, like in this case Tamaulipas, who is going on with their own strategy. And if they want, and if they think it's an interesting and a useful tool, they can replicate it also. And probably in the next years, we can see another subnational government in Querétaro, but it could be also a strategy for the entire country. So if the federal government wants to go on in their proposals with the ETS in Mexico, it will probably can work very well with them in how to connect the industry with the nature and with the decarbonization projects and the reductions and the carbon offset markets. It's a very good option because we offer a strategy to reduce work for the collaborators in the governments who are in terms of personnel in the secretaries in all our country. So many hands working on this. So I think it's a good exercise to be replicated in other places, also in America Latina or North America.
Okay, Thank you, Ricardo. We have some questions left, perhaps. Let's see. How is the project assessing its impact?
Assessing the impact? I think that from our point of view, as civil society, as a local NGO who is implementing all these payments and monitor on field, we keep a very accurate 4 wheeled returns: social, environmental, economic, and human development. Then if it's accounted, we have this practice of social return on investments from decades in our organization. And that's how we will calculate all the external impact of the carbon reduction payment. Okay, all the other benefits that goes around this payment, that it is really going to change their lives. Yeah, for the first time, the services of their forest are paid. God, so good for the forest, because you may forget about fires. That's why this project is so important, Verena. To calculate the benefits, they go beyond our understanding.
Thank you so much, Patty.
And I also think that the project are giving the results in a very direct manner. In Querétaro, it's in a small state. We represent only 12 million tons in greenhouse gas emissions of total in Querétaro, and only 2.5 million tons coming from industry. In our first years of implementation, we have 1 million involved in 1 million tons involved in the payment and also in the compensation system. And the results we'll see, I think we will see in our nature conservation and in the number of initiatives that are growing very fast in Querétaro with, for example, methane reductions emissions projects in landscape, in landfills, and other kind of strategies and initiatives that are growing up very fast in Querétaro.
Okay, so I guess due to the time we can't answer all questions, but we will get back to you, of course. Perhaps one last question: how does technology can help addressing challenges related with CBAM in Europe? Ivan Narasso is asking. So I guess that's a question for Gunther.
Yeah, CBAM is, and of course, one of important topic, as it is already implemented, and at the moment we are in the test, let's say in the phase where it needs to be reported, but then by 26 it also will be then related to compensation. Seagreen will provide the necessary functionalities so that CBAM reporting and calculation upfront can be made. It is not yet included in our system, but of course, due to the pressing topic on this, let's say, CBAM reporting, we are going to implement this in our solution. So the short answer is yes, we have it on our agenda. It's in our roadmap, but yet at the moment, of course, as it is just at the moment also not yet implemented, and also there are some open questions how it will be then later implemented and reported. But we have it on our roadmap that we will provide a solution in Seagreen. So that is at the moment what we can provide from this point. We have it on our agenda. It's a very important topic. But as you know, CBAM is addressing at the moment the cement, aluminium, metal, then of course hydrogen and fertilizers. So these are the industry sectors which are at the moment at the focus. And I think Querétaro is not that so much dependent on these industries. I think they are very diverse from my point of view, but nevertheless, of course, we have it on the roadmap.
Thank you, Gunther. So I guess now it's time for famous last words. Ricardo, do you want to start? Anything you want to say? So, Ricardo, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
No.
And with the CBAM question?
No. In general. So we need to. I'm sorry. We need to close the questions for now, but we will answer every question by email. No worries. And
thank you so much. So I think Querétaro and this alliance with the nature and with the industry can represent a very good opportunity to see the mitigation efforts around the world in a different manner, in which the subnational governments can offer an excellent opportunity to install a public policy that can represent for the national governments an excellent tool to reduce and report and be part of their NDCs. So this is the role, I think this is the role of the local governments who know better the land, who know better the stakeholders in a region, who can develop by their own, in different terms, strategic policies that can reduce in a very good manner and offer certificated reductions for the national government. So that's the job that we are doing by now, and that's the message that we want to send. Most of the options for climate change battle are going to come from the regions, the cities, and the subnational governments. Thank you.
Gunther.
Yeah, build on these. I mean, for me, the carbon ecosystem is a blueprint how collaboration should be, let's say, work. Different parties come together, and everyone takes really an important part out of it. It's a win-win-win situation for the industry, which can find themselves in an area like Querétaro, where they have an environment where they can really produce for the future, as the government will give them also access and supports them on their net zero journey. And also, on the other hand, the government takes care that funds are going to bottom-up projects like from the Grupo Ecológico de Sierra Gorda. So the nature and the beautiful nature of Mexico is benefiting from it. And it takes a strong partnership. So different companies need to come together with specifications, and they are specialized in, like Siemens from the software, Callirius from the marketplace, OpenForests also from the registry and data registry. And of course, then we have a wonderful situation here. And I hope that it will be seen as a blueprint. And please contact us if you would like to get more information. Yeah, and that's I would like to see that this happens, of course, also in other areas. That's what I would like to wish for the future.
Thank you. I guess we can switch to the last slide before Patty is the final partner here for my question. Any last words, Patty?
Yeah, for me, I will do a call of action. Climate change is just in our shoulders. Yeah, we have lost our patrimony, our natural patrimony. It is time to see nature as a wonderful industry of vital services for the biosphere that it's almost exhausted, almost gone. On what it is left, it's key for now and for future generations. Then this alliance, I make the votes for all the success because we need to make it happen, to replicate this strategy with a different protocol, a loving protocol for the planet, not made to make businesses. No, it has been made to make green for the planet. Yeah, it's far from the modern life, and it's time to see beyond what's for us, for the generations in 2, 3, 5, 10 years. So it is a call of action. Our model is completely replicable. It is made for the civil local society. It is not for carbon developers, just with root, with sense of belonging, of proud, of commitment for the land, the local land. And I think that in this crisis, so deep and painful that our planet is going through, it is time for love to come. And from everyone for us, we can make our best effort loving the planet in action. In fact, now mobilizing all the possibilities to rescue Mother Nature. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
¿Quién dijo que todo está perdido? Yo vengo a entregar mi corazón. It is the love and creativity from our hearts, raising all the possibilities for life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty. Famous last words, I guess. Best call to action I've heard. Thank you. Thank you all to our wonderful speakers. What an interesting session. I hope everyone out there liked it as much as I did. Wonderful to see what you all raised up together. And yeah, everyone out there, we will send you tomorrow an email where you can download all the information. You can contact us here at info@estainium.eco, and you can share the video because we recorded it, and you can forward it with the people missed it. That's from my side so far, and thank you so much to everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day.